Well, greetings, everyone. Greetings from wherever you're looking from today or listening in from today. I want to say thank you so much for being here. My name is Leslie Montgomery, and you are tuned into LKM Kingdom Living, Leslie's Lessons Learned. And I have my beautiful guest with me today, Erica Bishop. Yay!
Good morning.
So let's get started. So, as I was saying, welcome, Erica. So glad to have you here today. I do have to do my exercise with my mirror before we get started. And I want to talk about something real quick before we get started because something triggered me yesterday. And I
Mm,
didn't realize that the trigger was there. So I do want to talk about that. But, every week I'm thinking about people in their lives and how they see themselves. And one of the things is that uh, sometimes people wake up and say, is life worth living?
mhm,
Well, I want to say to you today that life is worth living. And when you look in the mirror, look beyond what you see, look beyond the crow's feet and look beyond you getting old and you see your face shape changing and go deep inside and realize that you would not be here if you were not supposed to be here. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And when you think about it, I want you to think about it this way. He made you for a reason and a purpose. And if you're still here today, your purpose is not fulfilled. So I was thinking this week, and I was thinking about people that don't just say, um, is life worth living, but they don't believe in themselves. They don't believe in who they are. They don't trust the fact that who they are is who they've been created to be because of life situations, things that's happened in life. And I want to encourage you today to know who you are. And that is such a vital part of our existence. We don't want to just exist, we want to exist with a purpose. We want to live on purpose. And that's what I want you to do today. I want you to get up off the side of that bed. I want you to brush yourself up and I want you to hold your head up high and I want you to say, I am somebody. So, as we do weekly, we talk about one of the things I like for us to say is that a world without me is like a world without color. And I said that wrong. I know I did. It don't even sound right. A life, a life without me is like a world without color. And if you can't say that, I want to say that for you. A life without you is like a world without color. So, Erica, as I said, Erica is here from Evolve and Elevate with Erica. And I'm just so excited for her to be here. She's always talking about being authentic. So it's a pleasure to have you today. But something happened to me yesterday, Erica.
mhm.
Last night, my daughter and I was prepared to watch Tyler Perry's movie. And
Oh,
as
yeah. I wanna watch that
excellent.
today.
It's really excellent. And in the process of watching it, and the name of this one, because he has another one coming out, a different one coming out in February, is the 6888. And it's
Yes.
about the women in the 40s that was in the military of color, and they didn't get any recognition. It's a powerful movie. But there's one scene, I'm not going to talk about the movie, but I'm going to say there's one scene that really took me over the edge. Now, I had signed up to go into the military and decided not to go, so I didn't
I
go.
did too.
You did?
Did. I was going in the Navy. I did.
Oh, you was going to go in the Navy?
I did.
And I went to the trainings and stuff. And at that time, your skirts had to be able to stand up on the ironing board. That's how starchy they had to be. And they
Wow.
taught you how to wear your makeup and all those different things. And I just chose not to do it. But when I begin to see the movie, and I'm not going to talk about the movie, but I do recommend everyone to go see it. One of the things that I realized was there was a scene in there. They were sent to France, overseas, um, and they heard the bomb planes coming,
Mhm.
and they had to go run to cover. And for some reason in that scene, I became very emotional. And but it wasn't about me, but I felt like I was there. And
Mhm.
in the process of it, I was taken back to my father because my father was in the military, retired
Mhm.
from there and everything. And I remember the days of war. And I remember when he came home one time with a broken leg. I remember one time we were sitting in the living room and the thunder hit and he ran and hid behind the sofa because he had just newly come back. I remember the time when he talked about how he went out the wrong door and almost got shot down. Started, for some reason, it has never happened, but for some reason, when I saw that part, it took me about 45 minutes to get myself together.
Mhm.
But it was like I was in that portion. And my daughter says to me, Ma, you got trauma around your dad being in the military.
Yeah.
Never thought about it, never
Mhm.
experienced it. But last night I did experience it. And when I did experience it, it was just like, what is going on? And that's what she was like, what's wrong? I was like, I don't know. I said, I'm watching this and it is affecting me differently. So I don't know why I really wanted to bring that up. Maybe because uh, doesn't matter how old you are, there are going to be moments
Yes.
when something will hit you
Yes.
that you need to deal
Mhm.
with.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when I thought about being authentic, I thought about being transparent in this moment
Mhm.
because it had never happened. It had never
Mhm.
happened. And I don't know, no, because I wasn't even born in the 40s, so it had nothing to do with that. But the fact that when I began to think back and the emotional stress that he went through from being in not just one war, two wars, being over there fighting, and we can never imagine what that's like. But when they come home and they bring pieces of it with them as children, we never know how it's going to affect us.
You're right. There's a lot of different layers to that that I do want to talk about. So one of them, as a child, up until, and I'm not sure how old you were when you saw him go through that experience, but up to around about 6 or 8, your personality and things are still being developed by your environment that you've been in, right? And as a child, when we see our parents go through trauma, children have a wonderful way of creating coping mechanisms to make themselves build. We say children are resilient, but that childhood trauma, if we don't teach children how to learn how to one understand what their emotions are, they just pack that down
Right.
and go through life of what we call as being resilient. And actually what you went through got unlocked another layer. So as we go through our process and journey of healing and becoming more authentic in who we are in him, he begins to unlock those different layers of things where we may have been stuck not knowing it because of an experience that we had. And as a child, it's very traumatic to see your parent run and hide because they're the ones who's supposed to protect us, right?
Mm,
And to see them run and hide and them in fear,
right.
it could create something in a child. And over time, you just went through, as children do, they just go through, they laugh, they play, but they never really deal with it, right? And when you find those who, when we were on the show with Gwen, I don't know if you were on that day. She had talked about a lady that had a traumatic experience at 3, and she had been holding it for 77 years.
Yes. Yes.
And 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 it was just something that just kind of sat in her subconscious, but it was still in her soul. It was a part of her soul experience. And it was a beautiful thing that you had an opportunity
Hmm.
to release that part that had been sitting there. And
Yeah.
then there's another element called epigenetics. So when we talk about epigenetics, that is when our parents, forefathers have had a traumatic experience, and it can, what they say, affect their genome or part of their DNA and be transferred
Mm.
through the generations. And it may be nothing that you ever experienced, but you're more probable to um have a reaction to the trauma, even though you were never a part of it, right?
Right.
So yeah, that was very powerful. And for me, when it comes to someone who produced a movie, to be that tapped in that it could create such a reaction out of you is very soul stirring. And with by you saying that, I'm gonna have to mentally prepare myself to watch the movie. I'm gonna have to prepare myself to watch it because I know it's gonna be very powerful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is very powerful, and to see how they were treated, women of color, and the
Oh yes, ma'am.
disrespect, and that all that right there makes you want to say, "Ugh,"
Yes, yes, yes.
and so many, not just the women. Um, that platoon was so many women, and you never heard about them, but all our people of color that have gone and fought for America,
Mm-hmm.
that have come back and nobody has celebrated
Correct.
them. That is something to, it's saddening. Now, I will say this, no, I'm not going to say nothing about the movie. The movie is excellent. I recommend everybody see it. Um, but the fact that it moved you, it moved you into, like I said, see what they've gone through, and to allow that one short clip to enter into my life and have me sitting there like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And to go back and reflect, as you say, as a child. And I'm thinking that I was around 8, 10, somewhere in there, when he was going to war. The interesting thing about that, when we're talking about being authentically you, is that I was glad every time my dad went away. But I guess deep down inside, there was more to it than that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, and just to experience that yesterday was really soul searching, and it really made me not realize uh, the effect it had on me to see him go through those different things, and come back and sit in the room and just play. He loved organ music. Just play his
Okay.
organ music,
Mm-hmm.
just trying to debrief from being
Mm-hmm.
over there in war and stuff like that. And as a child, you don't see that part. You just see it as him kind of pushing himself away. And that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't it. The trauma that he experienced
Mm-hmm.
caused him to need to debrief after he got home with 5 children sitting up there.
Mhm.
And then
Oh,
he
yeah,
got to
it's a
say,
lot. Yeah, and he's
yeah,
trying to be his best
right.
for you all and fighting his internal, he got this internal fight happening. Yeah, it's a lot. And we do it now with all our other personal situations. And when you were talking about women of color in the military, and I've, had to deal with things as a woman of color in corporate
In
America.
corporate. That's a whole. That's
That's a
just yeah.
whole
It's the
nother
same.
situation. Yeah,
Look,
it's the same, but it's all the same
disrespect.
trauma. Yeah, it's all the same trauma. Hmm.
Mhm. And that is another key point. We don't have to go to war to experience war.
Hmm.
So I do want you to talk about being authentic. Um, I I just wanted to share that. I wanted to share that with the audience, and I want to tell everyone that is here, welcome, 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 welcome. We're so glad to have you. Hey, Wanda, get some rest, and um, you already missed. You already missed. But I'm so glad that Erica. It was planned already that Erica would be here. See, God
Hmm.
knows how to do it. He knows what He's doing. He knows how to do things. But I do want to say to my nephew, thank you for being here, and everyone else that's here. Thank you. Sister Michelle Rice, she is a supporter. I see her popping up all the time now, and I really appreciate it. And everybody, Alfreda, Michelle, thank everyone. Those that have not said anything yet, thank you for being here. And take a moment if you can and hit that like sign. Also, share and subscribe. And if you're just on Facebook, please hit the like sign. We're so grateful that you're here. And we are talking about authentically you. And I was just sharing a story about an experience I had yesterday that I didn't expect to have. So, Erica, I'm going to let you introduce yourself first before you even start really getting into what it is in your, because you've dealt with it. You've been a counselor. You've been uh, uh, um, uh, you you're in that field and you've experienced a lot, and that is one of the things that you talk about on elevating and evolving and elevating with Erica. So tell them who you are and what you do.
Oh, thank you so much. And it's always, Leslie, it's always a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of Leslie's Lessons Learned today. My name is Erica Bishop. I am a transformational life coach of Empowered to Prosper Coaching and Consulting, as well as I am the host of Evolve and Elevate with Erica, where we talk about truly being your true authentic self, being delivered from past trauma, living a life of self mastery through emotional intelligence, and reclaiming your power and living a life of abundance. And when I think about being authentic and my journey in that space, and you said something that was so powerful, was that I had been in that place where I didn't want to live. I had been burdened down with depression. I had been burdened down with abandonment, rejection. It was all those different
Oh,
things
yeah.
that are designed to try to keep you from your purpose, right?
Exactly.
And it was in one of those places where I had to learn to accept me, because oftentimes those quirky things about yourself that you like, you know, you had to learn how to appreciate, but those are things that God, and I feel like when you're cooking and you kind of sprinkle that little extra,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
God did. He sprinkled when he created us, he sprinkled that little extra. And I had to learn how to appreciate that part of myself, right? And it was a time where you, instead of trying to hide who you are, really embrace who you are, right? And getting to know what you like and you don't like. And that's that place of that self discovery. I think sometimes life comes so fast, we just assimilate to what's around us to go along and to get along.
Right,
And we find ourselves in those places to do that. But when you really get to a place where, for me, it was where God had to strip me all the way down, remove all the friends, get to a place where I had to be in nobody's face but his, for him to be like, I really need you to know who you are. And the only way, and I remember one day I was standing in the mirror in my bathroom and I heard it and I said it as I heard it. He said, the only way you're going to get to know you is that you got to know me,
right. Exactly. Top of the line.
period. Like, you're not going to know who you are until you know me, because as you said earlier, I was fearfully and wonderfully made by him.
Right. He
So
created you.
he created me and made me a certain way. And the only way I got to know me and appreciate me was to be closer to God.
Right.
So as I went on that journey, I began to say, oh, wow, okay, well, that's where that came from. Okay, well, that's why I like this. And it was really valuing that. And with that comes the Godfidence, godly confidence in who you are. And you find yourself in a place now that you're no longer comparing yourself to others, but you're celebrating everybody else for their authenticity as well, right?
Right. Yeah.
um and then you have to be vulnerable with your own personal thoughts. Why do I think the way that I do, and what things am I saying to myself?
Right.
So even on that journey of being authentic, I had to be mindful of what was the language that I was speaking to me.
Yes.
And as I changed my language, everything else about my life changed, because in that place of not being authentic, in that place of not being true to myself, and really in that place of not really loving myself,
Right.
I
And all
I
those
didn't
are
have,
key.
correct.
All of
I
those
didn't
are
have,
key things. And let me I didn't mean to interrupt
no,
you,
you're fine.
but
Go ahead.
I think that that's a point that everybody needs to realize. And the key thing is when you don't love yourself, you don't love anything else around you.
No, no, you don't. So it's that fake love. You think you love it. But as I began to your point, really appreciate me, I began to remove from those things that I had tolerated
Mm,
and had adjusted to, just to be liked
acceptance.
by others.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies is Runaway Bride. And I'm gonna tell you why. It's this one scene in Runaway Bride when he was doing the he was doing the background of why she always did what she did. And it was
Yeah.
one question he asked her, which is my favorite part in the movie. He said, how do you like your eggs? And she didn't know. And one of her family members said she likes her eggs the way the person she with likes them. And I sat there and I said, no, you didn't. And as I thought about it and I asked myself the question, I said, well, how do you like your eggs? Which opened up, how do you like this? How do you like that? And it was really a place where I really had to be honest with myself and said, how many things in my life have I said I really wanted in life, but I only did it because I wanted to agree with somebody else?
Yes. And there's another movie that also has a little clip like that in it, and it's This Christmas. And they're sitting at the dinner table, and they asked London, um, oh no, they asked the guy, what's your major? And the mom says, her major is whatever major is who she's dating at the time.
And it
And
was law school, I think, that time,
and
right?
she had changed to law school. So that put me in mind of what you're saying,
Mhm.
because we do a lot of things, and sometimes aware and sometimes not aware of
Yes.
what we do because of how we were raised and came up.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
And and if you've ever experienced it, because I thought about this yesterday as I was thinking about the show today. We have been some areas traumatized into the go along to get along mentality,
Right.
because we never wanted to be, when you talk about people of color, you don't want to ruffle any feathers, you don't want to cause any disruption,
The
so
world
you just
teaches
say,
us that. Yes.
right, so you just say yes to whatever it is for the sake of peace,
Right.
right? Sometimes it's not even that it's going to cause a disruption, but we have been taught that it will. So we have been told that we have to just like it so you can just move on. But then we're not being true to ourselves, right? And when we do have the confidence and the boldness to do that, because even when you do finally decide to be authentic, there is a cost to it.
It
And
is.
I say that because
It is.
if you have been going through life and the people who think they know you and you haven't been authentic and then you decide to be authentic, then that's a whole nother situation with the relationships that you've had, the relationships you have built on the lack of authenticity, that you're going to have to go through a process of maybe you may see that that relationship will not withstand your true self,
Right.
because some relationships are built on trauma because they have trauma bonds. You have to think about, okay, when did I become friends with this person? Um, because we both didn't like the same person, or we both experienced something negative in our life. That's a trauma bond. But
Yeah.
when you heal, then the conversation is not the same because you're not talking about the same trauma that kept you together. So as you move into this place of authenticity, then there goes maybe a relationship that wasn't built on your authentic healed self, right? Your lifestyle may change. Your alignment with God is going to change. Um, so there's even a cost to that, because in that place of authenticity, you're not going to accept the things that you had accepted before to tolerate it, because you want to be true to who you are.
That's right. That's right. But you got to find out and know who you are.
You have
Like
to go through
you
that
said,
place of discovery. You do.
you do, because that's part of the issue. Um, we as a people don't know who we are. We have been
Hmm.
shaped by what's been told us, like you said. Just get along with it, and you know that that is something that they tell us all the time. You know, just get along. You know, just don't rock the boat. When you become authentic, first of all, if you haven't been authentic and now you want to be authentic, you're going to rock the boat.
Hmm.
That boat is going to be rocked, and your life, you'll feel better. But the people around you that had shaped you to be what they wanted you to be, they're not going to be so happy.
Right. So, there's a difference of being a person that creates chaos versus being a person that's a disruptor. And what do I mean by that? There are some people who are called to shake up the foundation, to change the way people think. That's a gift that you have. Let me help you to really think about your framework. Let me help you think about your mindset. So that person is gifted to come in where people have gotten complacent and just accepting. They're like, God has gifted them to be a disruptor, not to cause chaos,
That's
but to
good.
shift your way of thinking. Now, a chaotic person is confusion, and we know that's nothing, that's not from God. But there are those who are called to be disruptors.
Mm.
And I believe that there are many people who are gifted in that space have been told to shh, be quiet.
You make too
Don't
much
say
noise.
nothing. Don't say nothing. You're doing too much. I love those people,
And but you
because
know what?
you walk away, one, when you're a disruptor, it shakes your foundation, but it also loosens those things that's been hanging on to you that's not supposed to be there.
And you can't be intimidated by those people.
Oh no, not at all.
You
Mm-mm.
embrace them because it will change your life. But in the midst of changing your life, you're going to go through internally, because now
Mhm.
the shift we're talking about is not surface. We're talking about going deep down on the inside and making some changes. So yeah, when it's almost like, and I tell people, I said, America don't like change. They'll
Oh
keep the
no.
at the present the same crazy president in forever just to make it easy. So when you think about change and you think about being authentic and you think about how do the two work out together,
Hmm.
you know, and they're like a it's like a marriage. You talk about evolving. I would say that change, well, we know that change causes you to evolve,
Hmm.
but to be comfortable with being who you are does cause change.
It does.
It
It's a
causes,
part of the evolution process, right? Another thing that you said when we were talking about the trauma, and I thought about this too. Say, for instance, you had a traumatic experience at the age of 15, right? We talked about this a couple of weeks ago on Evolve and Elevate with Erica. And you can be stuck in that place of your trauma. Say, for instance, at age 15. And here it is now, you are 45,
right,
15, 25, 35, 45. That's what, 30, 20, 20, 30 years of evolution that until you heal that 15-year-old, that's 30 years of evolution that you not only have to get healed at that place, but also grow into the person that you are.
and can I say there's so many out there that don't even know that they're there, that they stopped growing mentally,
Mhm.
they have stopped growing way back then and don't know how to come to the adult years that they are now.
Mhm. Just because you're a number and just because you feel like you're a grown person, don't mean that you have truly evolved into that mature part of yourself if you have not been healed along the way. Now, God will take you truly through those growth spurts to get you where you're supposed to be. But if you truly don't get to an authentic place to heal, you're still that 15-year-old little girl in a grown woman's body trying to deal with it. Just let's just take a marriage. Deal with the relationship with maybe a grown man who's healed or a 20-year-old little boy
Exactly.
who
But let me
hasn't
just
grown either. Going back to those trauma bonds. You really look at how did your relationships form and how have your relationships even evolved as you have evolved in your place of authenticity and you have developed and grown in your own space of spiritual and emotional maturity.
so one thing you said, and I always like to use this word. You said that you were in the mirror one day and you end up having a open conversation with yourself. I call those defining moments.
Oh
You
yes,
don't,
ma'am.
so let's say at age 8, you had a traumatic experience. That's still a defining moment.
It is.
You come up and you begin to mature, your life begins to change. Yahweh begins to unfold things in your life and show you that these are areas that I'm dealing with now because you have come to the level of maturity that I can. And
Hmm.
why? Because I can. I want to develop you that you can have a healthy relationship, not with anybody else, but with yourself.
Yes.
With yourself.
Hmm.
So
Because, you know, as I grew in my and matured in my place, and as I was evolving into the better version of myself, you're loving yourself, but you begin to honor yourself in a different way. You no longer disrespect your own boundaries. You no longer
Ooh,
disrespect the things that you have told yourself that you're going to do. You stop breaking promises
to
that you've made
yourself.
to yourself.
To yourself. Not anybody else. But I'm
To
sorry.
yourself. You know, you will no longer keep saying, "Oh, I'm gonna start eating better on Monday." 900 Mondays have passed, and you still doing the same thing. Hello. So it's you begin to truly stop holding yourself hostage to trauma, and you really begin to release those things that one have been holding you bound, and then you let go of the things have already let go of you. There's some people that are still holding on to old relationships. That person gone, been gone. They done had three other
Yes.
relationships since then, but
Yes.
you still holding on to something in the past that's already let go of you, but you need to let go of it. And
Yes.
that's also being in that place of authenticity. It's
Yes.
getting rid of the old baggage. And there's when you talk about the word, Jesus met the Samaritan woman at Jacob's well. There's
Hmm.
a part in there in scripture talk about where Jacob's well had been um stopped up. They had stopped
Right.
flowing. And we have to unstop our own wells in our life, right? By getting rid of all the things that are not a part of who we are really supposed to be, so that life can truly flow as it is supposed to spiritually. And it all goes through really being honest with God about who you are.
There's a and I think I've heard you say you do it too, but ch- it's not real. I wouldn't want to call it a challenge, but where you look in the mirror,
Hmm.
and I'm not talking about just look in the mirror and walk away, but you spend time in the mirror loving on yourself.
Hmm.
It's going to cause you to break. It's going to cause you to change because you will no longer see yourself on the surface. For so long, we've seen ourselves and lived our lives on the surface because we never went deep.
Hmm.
We never will be why afraid of what's going to come up.
Oh, yes. You will experience the emotions because, see, emotions are indicators that something is there, good or bad. But you have to also go through the process of truly feeling the emotion so that you can process it. And as you go through your journey of authenticity, you are going to hit those blocks, those places, those bumps, like speed bumps. You're going to hit those places in your life of those things that you did not deal with. And you can't just fly over them. Just like when you hit a speed bump, you're if you depend upon what type of car you in, you could tear up a car, right? We have to understand that it's meant for us to slow down in that place, deal with it, and move over it. But we have to take the time to deal with it. If you have not grieved properly and you've gone through several deaths back to back to back, you got to deal with each one. If you've been divorced, it's just like grieving.
Oh yeah,
You've ended relationships, and you will even grieve over the old version of yourself.
yes. That's what I was going to say. That well will not run dry with the tears. Them tears is going to flow. The brokenness is going to flow. You can't beat yourself up though.
Mm-mm.
He's not showing it to you for you to beat yourself up. He's showing you to accept it and cause yourself to change.
Tears are so powerful. I wish more people would take advantage of crying. We have been taught, especially our men, we have been taught not to cry. Suck it up, buttercup. Just don't cry. No, you need to express it. You need to go through the process because one, it releases different endorphins and chemicals and stuff in your body to help your body to release. And it's nothing wrong with shedding tears, tears of joy, tears of sadness, tears of regret,
All of
tears of
these things.
happiness, whatever
Yes.
the tear may be. Shed the tears because tears are important. If God loves you enough to bottle up your tears, why would you not shed the tear?
I was listening the other day. It might have been Instagram or one of them, but the lady was speaking about how tears is healthy for our body.
Mm-hmm.
That and what it did to di- um, to cleanse you. That tent
It is.
cleanses you, detox. It's a detox,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that how powerful the healing is. I had never heard that before, but she was
Mm-hmm.
breaking that thing down about the tears and the crying and how uh, healthy it is to cry, like you're saying, and we know
Mm-hmm.
that. But like you said, and I think that a lot of the you bet not cry, you better suck up them tears came from slavery.
Mm-hmm.
So the slave master would not see you breaking.
Mm-hmm.
And it has carried on from generation to generation. Now you hear more men saying, "Look, I cry." Y'all might say, "Don't cry," but I cry. That it's like that chain is slowly being broken because
Mm-hmm.
it's okay for a man to cry. It's an expression. Crying is an expression.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
know,
it doesn't mean that you're weak.
no,
It does not mean that you're weak.
no.
I watched a video. It was a young lady. I guess she had finished boot camp in the military. And this is when, after they get finished, then family could actually come and greet you. And they were like, you can't touch her yet until the commander releases you. You cannot touch your family member. You just have to stand there at attention. And you're right. Who is that? Daphne. Yes, Jesus wept. And you have to stand at attention. But her mother was standing in front of her, just affirming her, telling how much she loved her, telling how proud she was. And even though she had the military face, the tears were running down her, were running, I mean, just streaming out of her eyes. And when the commander finally released her, she just fell into her mother's arms. And that was just so powerful for me because there are some people, and we're still talking about being authentic. There are
Yes.
some people who just need a hug because they've been holding on to so much and they truly, being authentic, they need to just relax. They need to just exhale. And I remember going through, as I've gone through my journeys of healing, that was one of the things I had talked to God about. I said, God, I don't remember the last time I exhaled. I've
Mm,
been holding it in for so long, sucking it up for so long. When do I get to that place where I can truly exhale? And when I did, child, when I say the floodgates, I think it was stuff I had held on. Oh God. I cried so much,
yeah,
I cried my eyes shut.
yeah.
But I needed to release all of that pain, all of the thoughts, all of those things that have been holding me hostage
Hostage.
to the old version of myself. And when I became more authentic, I got promotions upon promotions at work. I mean, everything just opened up and being more authentic. My salary increased. relationships changed, health became, I slept better. It's just all these different things begin to open up in that place of authenticity. But I had to go through the journey to get there first.
I wish above all that you prosper
Yes,
in
ma'am.
good health, even
Even
as
as your
your
soul
soul.
prospers.
And that's where I want to go because a lot of stuff is in the soulish area
It
that
is.
has not been released. And we go around in a circle, banging our head against the wall, wondering why, because it's never been dealt with in the heart, and or I'm going to say in the spiritual aspect of your life. And because it's never been dealt with, you can't figure out why you haven't released it yet. There is a place that you have to come to in your awareness, in your mind. And when you come to that place and you begin to operate differently in that place, then your whole body becomes healed. Why? Because now you're looking inwardly and you're addressing the situations differently. Before it was just you might have shed a tear here and there, but you got up and you still kept going. But when you're still long enough to really come face to face with who you are and who you're authentically supposed to be, there are going to be some changes, and not only changes, maturity. In order for you to get those things, you had to come to a level of maturity that you was not operating in already. You know,
You're right. And as you continue to embrace that, there's a place in your life that you may have to reintroduce yourself to people. The true version of yourself, you're gonna have to reintroduce yourself to people because they're, oh, you've changed. I have. I'm now the real me. I mean, and it's a beautiful thing to have the peace of knowing who you are. And when you are at that place of self-awareness, and that's one of the things I teach is about emotional intelligence. And the first part is self-awareness. You not only are you aware of who you are, you begin to see other people for who they are.
yes, yes, yes,
So therefore you can build your life out of true wisdom of this is where I need to place you in my life because I see who you are and I also know who I am. And when you grow through that place, peace isn't a struggle, it's a norm in your life because you no longer,
I wish above all.
oh yeah. You remove yourself from that spirit of self-sabotage.
Self.
Chaos, yeah, chaos is not something that um is a part of your normal life because you can cut it off at the pass or at the head of it because you can see it coming. Like, no, that's not how we roll. That's not how we doing this.
Uh-huh.
And you begin to
Awareness.
have more authentic and real conversations up front.
Hmm. Yeah. There's something I want to deal with um, uh, on the flip side. And this is what I want to do. I cry and I cry and I cry and I cry. There is a difference of crying all the time than crying to release. Sometimes you cry a lot because you haven't released. You don't understand how to release it. And I'm just using Daphne's saying there because there's so many times that We do go through emotionally because we never learned how to come face to face with ourselves and to deal and change some things because we're stuck, like you said. So when you're stuck, there's a lot of times you just cry and cry and cry, and you're not crying because you're releasing. You're crying because you don't know how to release.
Mm-hmm. So you're in that woe is me space. And that's where you have to make sure you have invited God into your journey, right? There's a difference with being covered and kept by God and when you isolate yourself from other people. And you have to also, through wisdom of the Holy Spirit, make sure you're not in a place of depression. Because when you go through this journey of authenticity, you will lose a couple of things. Remember, that's a cost to this authenticity. And you have to be very mindful and very careful and walk in the wisdom of the Holy Spirit to make sure that you're not falling into a place of depression. And if you are in a place of depression, then it's how do you allow God to sift through your life to get you out of that place of depression to heal? Because you have to get to the root of where's the depression coming from.
That's what I was going to say. Go ahead. Hmm.
So you have to get to the root of where the depression is coming from. Some of it, in part of my story, as I've shared before, it was transferred spiritually,
Hmm.
where others could be the same thing, or you're still holding on to a part or a version of something traumatic that has to be released, as you were saying before, that's causing the depression. Because depression is inside of depression could be some shame, could be some anger, could be some unforgiveness. We have to really source out the true root of it because fear. We've heard the acronym of fear being false evidence appearing real. And the Holy Spirit gave me another one, false emotions appearing real. Because there are places in your life where you could be angry, but it's not angry, it's shame, or
Hmm.
it might be regret. So you
Right.
really have to ask the Holy Spirit, reveal to me what is the true emotion that I am feeling so that I can understand it and where it comes from.
Right. Because a lot of it comes from being young, things that happen to you. And if you're repeatedly talking about those things, then there has not been enough healing of those things.
Correct.
If you're talking about it because you're telling a testimony, that's one thing. But if you're talking about it repeatedly, it's because somewhere along the line, it's like a hang cliff. It's
Mm-hmm.
hanging on and it's not letting go.
Mm-hmm.
So you find yourself in stages of not knowing who you are, not knowing what the issue is from
Mm-hmm.
childhood. And
Mm-hmm.
most of them stem from childhood, but they build as you become an adult,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Sibling rivalries,
Hmm.
um, unforgiveness, as we know, is the biggest one because we're holding on to the fact that I expected this from someone, but it wasn't a known expectation, and I'm disappointed in that person. Did they know that that's what you wanted?
Mm.
Or you thought that they should have assumed? But if we don't have clear communication, let it go. We
Yeah.
have to do better about letting things go, healing, and also letting it go, and not continue to rehearse it and use it because we also know that there are tiers of manipulation,
Yeah. Yeah.
understanding. When you get to a true, authentic place, you can see those things. And we have to also, in being authentic with ourselves, truly be able to see others for who they are so that we're not caught up in the same cycles we've been in before. And that's the other thing about being authentic. You begin to break cycles that have been a part of your life or your generations. You begin to break those cycles. They will end with you.
Hmm. Yeah, I can think of one. I used to always say, because everybody would always say, "Oh, you just like your mother. You just like your mother." And even when they see, because she, there was a good parts, not all bad, and she was like the life of the party. When she came into the room, they would get excited. The room would light up, but she was never happy with herself. So
Mhm.
sometimes I would come in from work and they'll be carrying her out on a stretcher where she tried to kill herself.
Wow.
And I remember saying, I'm not, that's not going to be my story, you know. And the enemy did try to make me think of those things. And I used to say, nope, that's not going to be my story. I'm this right here, I'm breaking this cycle right here, you know. So when you talk about some of those generational things, and that's something that I thought about because, and this is how I used to think about it. Not so much because at the time I wasn't in a relationship with God, with Elohim, and I used to think of it this way. I was like, they're not gonna say you just like your mom that way too, you know. But yeah, just some you do
Mhm.
have to break so many cycles, so
You
many.
do.
Yeah,
You do.
yeah,
And it can feel very unfair because there's so many things that have been in our culture that have been that we've had to experience. And we sometimes carry a burden that seems unjust. Yet, because we serve the Almighty El Shaddai,
hmm,
Adonai, Elohim, we can overcome and truly live a life of abundance and victory in Him. But it has to be through honesty
honesty,
and transparency and truth because He is truth. When you truly get to that place of truth, the process is not as hard. In most cases, it will be like, why did I not do this sooner?
right? Yeah, that's real. Um, so thank you, Erica. This has been good. I was looking at something Daphne said, and not to really touch on it, but yeah, when you're in the military, you do wear a lot of different masks, you know, and that's a whole nother subject right there. But listen, uh, tune in to Erica um, on Monday evenings at 8 o'clock. I had the pleasure of being on her show 3 times this month. And I want you to know I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for trusting me
Thank
enough to
you.
have me on there.
Yes,
And you
ma'am.
said something, but look, um, your introduction of me and Wanda's introduction of me, I said, I need both of those recordings so I could just press record. Because it was so powerful, what you said. But one thing you like if you got um, Leslie in your corner praying, I was like, if you got an Erica, you don't need nobody else, you know. So I thank you so much for being here. That she is so powerful, and not only is she powerful, and not only is she transparent. She's very open. She's not like when I first, before I met her, I was afraid to talk to her because I thought she was untouchable. That is not her at all.
Oh, mm-mm,
That is not
mm-mm,
her at all.
not at all.
And I just appreciate her embracing me and allowing me into her space. So I want to say thank you and thank you for taking
Thank
time out
you.
busy schedule and to be with us this morning. Listen, everyone, take a moment and hit that like sign, subscribe, and share. And please take something away from today. It was a lot said. She
Yeah.
put out a lot here. And in the process of it, you can gain so much from sitting down, go back, listen to the replay, not just this replay. There's plenty of replays out there that you can gain strength from, that you can gain or learn how to begin to walk in the authenticity of who you are and mature. I want you to know today that we love you, but we can never love you like Yahweh.
Mm,
And if you don't have not, and Erica talked about this, she said there is no authentic, now I can't say it, authenticity without the Savior. And uh, and I want you to know that He is at your door,
yeah.
willing and able to come in and sup with you, like He said. He is willing and able to help you through the process. Stop trying to go through the process on your own.
Mm-hmm.
You can't.
Mm-hmm.
You can't.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't come out without the one that has created you.
Yes.
The blueprint is in His hand.
Oh, yes.
So we want you to know. Before I go, I'm going to ask you if you have any last words, Erica, this morning.
Well, I definitely want to say again, thank you, Leslie, for allowing me to be a part of this magnificent platform. I would just say for anyone, one of the first ways to start is to journal. Journaling is one of the most powerful things you can ever do. Les and I met in a journaling community.
Yes.
The
12.
1212 community is where we met. I've been journaling since I was 15,
Uh-huh.
and I have all of my journals. If I
Do
was to
you?
stand my journal, yep, I have all of them. If I
Wow.
were to stand my journals up on the floor and stack them up, they'd probably be as tall as me. And
Wow.
as I go back and I look at different phases of my life, I can see where I was in that soulish realm, and I can also see when the Holy Spirit took over. And when you go back
Awesome.
and you look at your writings, you will see God in your journaling. And that's another way to release is to start journaling, write your thoughts down, get it out. And you will find yourself even, and I mean, I even have pages in my journal where you can see the tears that landed on the pages, right? And
Wow.
going through that process. A coach or a counselor, therapist, that all God created all these different ways for us to truly get to that place of authenticity. And it was in actually one of my counseling sessions. And I want to say you can be a Christian and go to a therapist. I want to
Yes. Yes.
I really want us to
Oh,
understand that.
yes.
It was in one of my counseling sessions that she told me, she said, you need one of the things she told me that I need to walk with. She said, you need to make sure that you create. And I didn't really realize that about myself, but I thrive in a place of creativity. That was a thing about me that I had kind of pushed to the side as a child, but loved to do. But as I begin to pick that back up, it's a place where I thrive in. So I know that when I'm getting to a place, and when we talk about being authentic and knowing yourself and awareness, when I feel like I'm getting heavy, I go somewhere and create. And that gives me a spark of energy, right? So take the time to learn something new about yourself. If it's not but one thing every 30 days, go out and discover something new. And when you do that, write. a note of appreciation and gratitude about what you've learned.
That's
We've got to
absolutely.
learn to appreciate and have gratitude to God, and also appreciate ourselves for who we are. Because if you don't appreciate yourself, anybody else going to appreciate you. You got to appreciate yourself first. So I
Yes.
just wanted to leave that, and thank you so much for allowing me to be here today.
Yeah, that's good, girl. I don't know where none of my journals are, but the ones of my old age. But yes, I think that one of the things that was that attracted me to wanting to journal was to have the diary with the lock and key, and you can fit
Hmm.
that's when that was about 13, I guess, when I started really doing that. Girl, I couldn't tell you where any of that stuff is, but I do want to thank you for sharing that with us. That is important that we have something to go back and reflect on and to see where things change and how you change. So there was something else you said, oh gosh, I wanted to tap into, but I can't remember right now. But listen, everybody, begin to, it's your story. Journaling is your story. We read his story every time we pick up the word. You have a story to tell. And if you're not okay, thank you, Father. And if you're not putting it down, then you're missing out on seeing how you developed, how you evolved, and how you came into a new place. Uh,
Hmm.
you talked about creating. That's one of the things he created us to create.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
when we recognize everybody's creating things might not be the same,
Hmm.
but it's in you. It's in you. And to tap into that part of your life and begin to see things blossom and bloom is an awesome thing. So,
Yeah.
yes, thank you so much. Continue to have an amazing day, each and every one of you. You too, Erica. And until we meet
Likewise.
it's going to be a little quiet this week because it's the Christmas holiday, but I'll see you next Sunday. And listen, I don't know, when do you come back on, Erica?
Actually, I'm doing a show tomorrow.
Okay.
Evolve and Elevate will be tomorrow,
Okay.
and this one is going to be about family ties. The
Uh-oh.
guests are my adult children.
Awesome.
Oh, Jesus,
I know.
Rebecca and Eric. Ooh, ooh.
That's
So
going to be
they're going to be my guests. It's the first time I've had them together at the
wow.
same time in about 2.5 years, because Eric
Oh,
lives in Minneapolis, so he's
right.
home. So he'll be on. So we're talking about family ties.
And that's at what time?
8 o'clock. Eight
Eastern
o'clock
time.
Eastern tomorrow night. 8 o'clock.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes. So make sure that you tune in for that. That's a nervous one for me. I always tell my oldest daughter, I said, "Girl, every time you start talking, I get nervous because I don't know what you're gonna say about me."
Ooh, and I got two of them too.
You got
Love.
to. My other
Ooh.
one, she lives in La La Land. Mommy, you're just so great. You're this. So she live in La La Land, but thank you so much. Have a good day, everybody, and know that we love you. We appreciate you. If you need to reach out to Erica, everything is in the description. And I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Till we meet again, have an amazing day. Shalom.
God bless.
Yes.